well, if the US dollar is losing 20% of its purchasing power a year, which is what's happening right now, the dollar is collapsing against scarce assets. The reason the NASDAQ or the stock exchange is an all-time high isn't because the companies are more valuable, it's because your currency is weak. And the currency keeps collapsing against scarce assets. That's why we have inflation. That's why houses in the Hamptons or Palm Beach cost more. That's why the average home in the US costs 15% more than it did 12 months ago. So if El Salvador is going to prosper as a country, they need to invest their assets or invest their money in something which isn't going to collapse. If you're holding $1 billion of US dollars, and if the US Fed doubles the dollar supply, they stole half your money from you. It's because part of the world is rich and privileged. And so if you are wealthy in the US and Europe, and you have a large stock portfolio, you think you're a genius because your portfolio is up 32% or 47% year over year, and you made wise investment decisions, right? And then you think, oh yeah, I see that everything's going up in price, but you've already got your house, right? If you were trying to buy a house in the Hamptons, it went up in price 45% year over year. If you already own the house in the Hamptons, you think, well, this is great. My house is more valuable. My stocks are more valuable. I'm a genius. I'm a good investor. And so if you're asset rich, and that's 10% of the world, you just feel like everything's great. On the other hand, if you're a dentist working for $137,000 a year, the price of early retirement and the price of all those things you ever wanted to buy is pulling away from you, right? You can't afford to buy. There's something wrong when people say we're going to pump up the price of assets to protect the economy, because what you're doing is you're inflating the price of assets for everyone that works for a living that wanted to buy those things. And so people don't understand it, because either they're wealthy and they're beneficiaries of loose monetary policy, right? Or I think that's the number one reason. Or they're stuck in they're stuck in a frame of reference. If you have a strong ego, it's like if I take you to the top of a cliff and I kick you off the cliff and you're humble, you would look and you see, oh, that mountain is like zooming up really fast. That's not a bubble. I'm falling, right? But if you have a strong ego, you think, oh, the mountain seems to be like going up really fast. It's a bubble. It's got to eventually come back. And it's just, and the issue is it's not coming back. You're going to smack into the earth because you're falling. So, I mean, I guess the best example is most Americans can't imagine their currency weakening. They're arrogant about it. If you go to Argentina, the currency weakened from 1 peso to the dollar to 155 pesos to the dollar over 20 years. You lost 99.5% of all your wealth because everything's going up in pesos. Are you getting richer, or is the peso collapsing? So I think people in Zimbabwe, Venezuela, and Argentina, they get it. They understand that if the currency is collapsing, your stocks aren't getting more valuable. Americans can't conceive of American currency weakening. And so if you're stuck in the American mindset, let me just give you one more metaphor. If I inflate the currency by 10%, I sucked 10% of the energy out of your dollar. When I inflate the currency by 100%, I sucked half the energy out of the dollar. I'm marching you up Mount Everest. The oxygen is disappearing. You're going to get hypoxia. Eventually, if I suck all the oxygen out of the currency, the economy collapses. And that's what happens in hyperinflation. When the current currency collapses, it's like your blood doesn't carry oxygen, and the entire economy is ripped back to Stone Age barter. And practically what happens is, El Salvador flips over to the US dollar as the next best currency. And but here, what's the problem with that? How am I supposed to get dollars? If you study the history of America, before the American Revolution in the Chesapeake Bay, they used bales of tobacco as money because they couldn't get money. So if you use dollars in Zimbabwe or Nigeria or El Salvador, and there's no bank, and there's no Visa, and there's no Apple Pay because it's illegal, then where's your dollars coming from? right? I mean, how do you operate a 21st century economy without access to a currency? And if the currency is losing its value fast enough, then you have to have an asset in order to store your economic energy, or else you get Weimar Republic.